You are watching Onward with Onrie Live. I'm your host, Onrie Kompan. Thanks for tuning in. And today I'm going to be talking about something that was asked of me over private messenger over the weekend. I was asked to talk about the benefits and the drawbacks of giving away stuff for free at conventions. And so I'm going to kind of kick this off by using my own experiences and just giving you a heads up that whatever I'm about to tell you right now is not necessarily the standard or what or how things should be. It's just sort of my opinion on what I think about free stuff. So basically, I think that when people are given free stuff at conventions or at other events, unless someone asks you to give them your stuff for free and it serves you in some way, there's really no point to it, because the whole point of giving away free stuff is to have it serve you in some greater form. So for example, if I'm at a convention and someone important comes up to me and they're like, let's say it's a film producer, and he's a legit film producer. I know him by name, and he says, "Hey, can I get a free copy of your stuff?" Well, that's going to serve me in the long run, even if he doesn't do anything with it, because he might just pass my book around and I suddenly might find myself working on something else. But I find it kind of distracting when I'm at a convention working and people come up to me and they're like, "Hey, take a free copy of my work." Now, I understand that a lot of people out there have worked really hard. They put together their projects. They spent a lot of time working on it, and they want to share their work. But if it's not benefiting them, there's no point to doing it. So if you're some guy at a convention and you're like, "Hey, I want you to have a free copy of your work," well, keep in mind that when I come to a convention, my objective is to leave without having any books at all, because when I come to a convention, I come there to sell books, not take more home with me. And a lot of publishers feel the same way. So when you hand people stuff at a convention, it's probably better to do it if you hand it to a publisher or someone who you think would be able to get you somewhere with. Then it makes sense to give them your work for free. But otherwise, I think it kind of serves against you. And in some ways, what can happen, and some things that can happen, and what most likely will happen for some people. I personally don't do this because I understand what goes into it. But I've seen people or people have told me this, that they'll be given comics for free at a convention, and they'll be like, "I just don't have space for this," and it'll end up in the garbage. And that's a very unfortunate thing. And I also see situations where people are walking around on convention floors handing out their comics, and they say, "Who wants free comics?" And I think when you're doing that, there's a big difference. When you come to a convention as a con goer, you come there with a limited budget and a limited amount of stuff that you can take home with you. And people who go to conventions either drive there or they fly there. And when you're flying there, you're going to have very limited space on what you can bring back with you. If you get a book for free, the chances of you tossing it out in the garbage are much higher if, let's say, you don't have space and you have to choose between that and something you actually spent money on. And if someone's just handing it out to you, you're just, there's no value in that book, unless there's something that you find particularly interesting about that book. So I'm kind of skeptical about just handing out books and saying, "Who wants free comics?" Well, people will take free shit all the time. Whether or not they're actually going to look at it, that's a completely different matter. And when you get something that's free, or when you give something away for free, you need to hook people so that they understand why you gave them that comic for free. Like, for example, you go to a comic shop, you buy all your comics, right? And every week, you get like a weekly comic shop news thing just thrown in with all your buys, or a diamond catalog where, they have all the Marvel previews and stuff like that. Now, why does Marvel do that? Marvel does that so that they can let you know what they have coming out, and they can give you a preview of what they got in the works, and that's really important. So if that serves them, it makes sense that they're giving away stuff like that for free, because in the long run, it's going to help them sell more books. So when you do give stuff away for free, think about what the end game is for you. Is it building your email list so that when you start doing a Kickstarter campaign, you can hit those people up and be like, hey, remember that comic I gave you at this convention? I'm now running a Kickstarter campaign for it, and I need your support. So if you liked it, back me. I got some great rewards, and I've expanded the story, and I added a bunch of stuff to it. So that's something that you definitely want to think about as you're giving stuff away for free. You definitely don't want to just hand it out and just walk away. And I've seen people do that so many times, especially at San Diego Comic-Con. I remember one year I was standing in front of the area where I was selling, and two girls walked past me, and they started standing in front of me, and they're like, who wants free books? And people would just take it, of course. But it's San Diego Comic-Con. Everybody's giving away something. And the moment they give that stuff away, it holds no value because it's free. So even if it would have cost you, let's say, like $30 to produce whatever comic that you're now giving away for free, that's money lost. So unless it's serving you in some way, unless you get some information, or unless it's helping you get into a bigger, unless it's helping you grow your audience, it doesn't make sense. Like, think about it this way. People have webcomics online, or people do digital comics online. They give that first issue away for free. It's to hook you. It's to get you interested in what is to come. So I think that there's a benefit to giving away stuff for free, but I don't think that. I think that if you just hand it off to people and you don't give them a premise, or you don't give them an idea of what you're doing, then there's really no point to doing it at all. And that's something I started out with too. When I first started working on Yisung Shin, I was giving away copies for free too. I remember I was invited to a local Korean festival, and because I was working on this book about Yisung Shin, I asked them if I could, give a little presentation about what the book was, and they allowed me to do it. So I got up on a stage and I talked about the book, and then afterwards I handed out free copies, and I managed to hook people. And then 3 or 4 years later, I was at a convention, and one of the people who I gave the book to back at that Korean festival years back found me and said, "Oh my God, I found you!" And I remember when you were giving away comics for free, and they bought it up because they liked it, and they managed to find me again, which was fantastic. And you have to remember, when you do hand away stuff for free, the chances of it getting lost are extremely high too. It's not like something that you buy. When you buy something, you tend to pay more attention to what happens to it because it's your money. And that's something that, what's going on, Justin? Thanks for tuning in, buddy. What's going on, my man? So, going back to that, and another thing too, you might sometimes give, you want to give people stuff for free too, if they're your friends. I'm not telling you to be stingy about your work and say, don't ever give anything away for free. For example, my aunt, who has been extremely supportive of everything I've been doing over the years, and was really a big supporter for my latest book, Marks. She messaged me on Facebook the other day and said, "Hey, will you send me a copy of the book?" And I had no problem. I sent her a copy of the book because she's family. The idea is you're supposed to give people stuff away for free. And I've seen people get really kind of stingy with stuff too, and they're like, "Well, this book cost me $5 to print, and so I must sell every single copy." And some people get very held up on the fact that you're not supposed to give away stuff for free, and it's understandable. Depending on how much you invest into the product, it's not always easy to just hand stuff off and give it away for free. So that's something to be careful of. And I think free stuff is actually really important, and giving it away is Not a bad thing at all. That's why I have bookmarks. Every time I go to a convention, the first thing I ask, my opening line is, can I tell you about my comic? And as soon as people say yes, I hand them a bookmark, because no one's going to say no to something that's free too. That's the benefit of having stuff that is free. So when you hand someone a bookmark, they'll take it naturally. And even if they don't buy my book, they'll still have the bookmark on hand. And I've seen my bookmarks end up on floors at conventions. I'd walk outside, a convention, and I'd see my bookmarks on the floor. And I actually take that as a compliment, because it's like, now I got ground advertisement, So, don't be upset if you find your stuff on the floor or in the garbage. As long as it's something that didn't cost you anything, you're good to go. But one thing I never have happen is I've never had anybody buy my book with their money and then throw it in the garbage. And if they chose to do it, if they chose to buy my comic and tear it up in front of my face and burn it in front of me, I don't give a shit, because they fucking paid for it. And that's a completely different thing. But when it comes to giving stuff away for free, it has to serve you. Even Free Comic Book Day, look at that, all right? So Free Comic Book Day, the idea behind that is the publishers are actually selling the comics to retailers at an extremely low price. The retailers are buying up these comics and giving them away for free because they want to drive more people into the shop. They know that if they give away those comics, people will come into the shop, they'll get their free comics, and they'll stick around and they'll buy more stuff. Well, Justin's saying you should hope they throw it away, take it out the trash, and sell it again. That's right. Free money, baby. Free. And that's something typically, if something is like all torn up like that, I would suggest you at least give them a little bit of a discount. Anyway, going back to what I was saying, the idea behind Free Comic Book Day, the theory of it is, we give away free comics, and people will come in and they will buy more stuff. The free comics are actually kind of like the bookmarks I give away at conventions. So it brings people in, and on the digital front, a lot of people are doing that too. I actually think that a lot of people, back when the iPad was first announced and when the whole digital age came, there was a lot of talk about whether or not print comics would still be around because of the digital age. And the digital age is now, in full swing, and print is still alive. And to be honest with you, I myself have read comics digitally and have read them in print, and I prefer print. But if I don't feel like going out to the comic shop to buy a certain title, then, I can always read it on my iPad. So I use both platforms. But I can tell you right now that the amount of money I spend on print is much higher than what I spend on digital. So, and print is just nice. It's kind of like what Stan Lee said about comics. Comics are like boobs. They look nice on a screen, but I'd rather hold them in my hand. And, I feel the same way. I mean, it's nice to be able to look at a full spread of a comic, especially when it's well thought out. Here, I'll just pull out something that I have. Here's my buddy Ted Sikura's graphic novel Apama, and there's something about looking at spreads. And I haven't actually read Apama yet. It's on my desk and it's on my to-read list. It's a beautiful hardcover book. Check it out and buy it. I'm actually splitting a hotel with Ted at Planet Comic-Con in a couple weeks, and Ted's a really good guy. He's based in Cleveland, and he put together this really incredible superhero title, which I'm really looking forward to reading. And having that, again, look at this. It's a hardcover book. The way it's put together, you appreciate the quality of it. And it's not even about whether or not I'm not saying anything about the story itself because I haven't actually read it yet. But when I walked away from the convention I bought this at, which was New York Comic Con, this was a purchase I was very happy about. And I walked away from the show, and it's like, I had this. I made an effort to make sure that I brought it home undamaged. Now, if it was something that I got for free, well, if it got damaged by, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't be upset about it because it was free. And and there's also cases where you get stuff that's free that might be of value at some point down the road. And honestly, no one knows about that kind of stuff. But, when you're going into this whole idea of, should I give my stuff away for free? Should I, go down that path? I definitely think you should keep an open mind about it. And I definitely think you should consider how you can take whatever it is you're giving away for free and help you build it so that you can actually start making money off of it. And it's a tricky thing. I mean, when I first started distributing Yixun Shen to retail shops, I actually gave away copies for free to retailers because I wanted to give them an incentive for ordering the book and doing business with me. And at first I gave them a few copies and I said, look, you guys sell it, you guys make money. And it was to show them that, this is a book that can sell. And once they sold some books, then I started, giving them wholesale prices, and they were more than happy to buy from me. And that's something that, you need to think about too, is, it has to be kind of, it's like fishing. You're going out there to see, your test marketing. And that's a really important thing. You can't test market by, just simply giving, by simply going out the bat and charging full price for everything. And I think that's one of the advantages of having single issues in general in terms of comics, because now everybody's like, well, the single issue is dead, and everything's about graphic novels now. Well, here's the thing. Single issues eat up your production costs, so that when you finally release your graphic novel, it's a moneymaker right out the door. And that's what's really great about the Fallen Avenger graphic novel for us, is that, all of our production costs were, swallowed up by the single issues. And, once the single issues go back to press, all the production costs are essentially paid off. And then the book is making money. And now the graphic novel, which, is already out there, it's making money right out the door. I don't even have to sell a certain amount, to make my money back, other than to cover my print costs, which, is not going to take very long. So those are things to consider as you're going on. And my buddy Phil, what's going on, my brother? He said maybe offer things on consignment so that they have no upfront costs. See, that's a wonderful idea. And another thing you can do too is drop shipping. Consignment, for those of you who don't know, this is how I do business with Amazon. Amazon, on a weekly basis, sends me a request, and they say, we need you to send X amount of copies of these titles. And I'll ship the books out to them. Once they sell them, I get a percentage of the commission. So I believe what I get back is either somewhere between 45 and 55%. And they keep the rest, but it's a consignment because they're the ones who sold it, and they're using the platform to sell it, so it's a consignment. And a lot of retailers do this too. This is a great way to kind of build your relationship with retailers. Go into a retail shop if you got your book out for the first time. Go in and say, I'd like to do a consignment deal. And a good consignment deal is usually a 60-40 deal, meaning you get 40% and the retailer gets 60%. Why would you give them the bulk, the lion's share away to the retailer? It's to build that relationship. You have to give incentive. You can't be greedy out the door. And if you're already talking about, if you have to choose between that and giving away your stuff for free, isn't it better to get 40% than 0%? So, think of it that way. But another thing that is interesting is drop shipping. And I was actually just talking with, my partner, David Anthony Kraft, about this. So we have our coin, the Yixun Shen coin, and this week we sold out of our stock. And so now I don't have any coins left. So I was just about to place an order for more coins. And Dave was like, why don't we work out a drop shipping deal with them? Because that actually makes more sense. Rather than them ship to me and then me ship out to the customer, everything can go from the coin manufacturer directly to the customer. And that's once I get that order in, I get my commission, and then they handle all the shipping, and I pay them their money, and I keep what I earned on it. So whatever that split is, whatever we work out. So those are the kinds of things that you can think about. So there's definitely an advantage to handing out free stuff, and there's also a disadvantage to it too. If you're just handing out stuff and you're not giving people a reason why you're giving it away for free, the point of it is lost. And if you're just handing stuff out because you want to, that's just a bad idea. I've seen people do that at conventions. They'll come up to a publisher who's, working his ass off. He's there to promote. He's there because he's got a big name artist or writer, at his booth, and they're signing. And here's some, guy like, coming up to him and being like, "Here, take a free copy of my book." They're not going to. It's going to end up in the garbage, guys. You have to be prepared for that reality. Only give away stuff for free to publishers if they ask you for it. If they don't, move on. It's okay. And this is a very difficult business. It's very hard to hook people's attention and get them interested. It's a battle we all have to fight. It's not like it's, there's no such thing as a product that gets out there and no one has to promote it. Everybody always has to push everything. And that's what I'm going to talk about next week. We're going to talk about helping you get into a state of mind so that you can work on improving your pitches, getting stronger with your sales, and helping you get into that mode that will allow you to be aggressive in a non-aggressive way, if that makes any sense. And if you tuned in today, thank you so much. It looks like we got a huge turnout today, which I'm really happy about. Justin, Phil, thanks for commenting today. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Take care. Onward to victory.